Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is the ASX and Sectors weekly chart analysis for the week ending 18th of July 2025. The first chart is the S&P ASX 200 index, the XJO. This is the parent index of the Australian Stock Exchange. And the Australian Stock Exchange on Friday has made a serious challenge to the overhead resistance and attempted to break out. And it looks like it's a pretty strong attempt at that. It's quite unusual for it to happen on a Friday. That leaves the weekend before the market can support its attempt to break out. But it does make me wonder from a psychological point of view, a market psychology point of view, that there's an attempt to build up some FOMO across the market, which will emerge on the Monday and help to support Friday's attempt to break out, because there will be inevitable supply drawn out. Whenever a market makes sharp gains in a relatively short period of time, supply will be drawn out. You'll get supply from the left, but there is none in this case. You'll get supply from above, which are short positions where the market believes it's all been overdone or it's gone too high too quickly and it's going to pull back and there's some profits to be made, or profit taking, which I say is from below. And the market has made strong gains in a relatively short period of time overall and on Friday itself. So there will be supply drawn out, and that supply will need to be absorbed if the attempt to break out is going to be successful. So you can see back here is where the buying support originally came in. We noted it at the time. It was likely to be significant. It's proven to be quite significant overall. Since then, the market has continued higher. And on Friday, we had a strong attempt to break out. It was a pretty serious attempt. You can see the bars standing tall and proud there, just as you'd like to see a breakout bar. Remember, this is a significant level. This is a breakout at the all-time highs. And it's a major breakout into fresh new air above all market trading. If this is successful, it'll be significant for this market. And I expect that a positive sentiment will become established and the market will attempt to trend higher. At this stage, there still may be a test of the breakout line for strength, but the further the market moves away from the breakout line, the less chance there is the market will actually reach it. And there may just be a little period somewhere left hanging like this, which it tests and then moves on. But at this point, there's a serious attempt to break out. It's a major breakout coming from the all-time highs. It's really significant if it's successful. This is the mid-cap sector. Similar thing in this market. This market had already pushed above the important highs and established secondary highs up here. And the market's broken out from that level along with the parent index, which we just saw earlier. Similar setup previously, and the market's done a pretty good job and is also attempting to break out. Small ordinary sector, once again, pretty similar. The market's moved above all the recent highs into fresh, clean new air above the market. It's strong support back here. The market's done a pretty good job moving up, and it's made a clear attempt to break out. This is the financial sector. Here's the highs of the range. Here's the overall highs of the range, which had already been broken to the upside. There was an early attempt to break out here, which drew out supply and failed. But you'll note that the two bars of consolidation in response were well within the range of this up bar where the attempt to break out came from. The market never moved below about the 50% level of that bar's range, and this week price has moved higher and it's established its highest close. So it's closed at a higher level. It hasn't moved above that level yet. Still a relatively strong bar, but it's consolidating in response to this attempt to break out a month ago. This is the metals and mining subsector, showing the miners in particular. You can see the market has pushed above that important level I've been marking for a few weeks. The next level above comes through here, like that. So there's a bit of a complex level in here this market's going to have to negotiate in there. But I expect this level here was the trickiest to get through, at least initially, because you've got all of this congestion causing issues where once it moves above the secondary level, you're only going to have a little bit of congestion to deal with. This is stale supply in the background, where if the people are continuing to hold to get out at break even, their supply will need to be absorbed to get through. So this was always a tricky level here, with all that congestion in the background. The market's made a pretty good attempt to push above the recent highs. Volume increased to average, so it was good, genuine trading. And the close right up at the high of the range suggests that the buyers were in control. And there's probably a good chance this will be a successful breakout. Doesn't mean it'll be 100%, but a good chance that the market will move up and challenge this next level above. There may be a little pullback and then a challenge. We'll have to wait and see. But it looks strong at this point in time. This is the ASX gold sector. This market has been under a little bit of pressure as the underlying commodity is consolidating. There was supply drawn out a few times more recently. The market has found support each time the market's pulled back, although this time the support hasn't been anywhere near as strong, at least so far. That's actually a fairly weak response this week. I guess the market was focused on other areas and other sectors across the market. If the market's unable to hold on, you'll probably see this as a level to move back to in here. At this point, the market's attempting to hold on at the lows of the previous range. Energy sector found good buying support back here. We noted it at the time. And that's where we are at the moment. Inside that range, this is the up bar in response. You can see that the market's trading in consolidation mode right up high in the range. That's relatively strong. If it can complete the consolidation up there and then break out from that point, it really is quite strong. Any consolidation above the 50% level of the up bar, and I'm calling those 3 bars or 4 bars even an up bar, it's an up range if you like. That consolidation's been done right up high in that range, and that will be quite strong overall. I just put all those lines in for the fun of it. We've got one that comes through there. That's what's holding the market back at the moment. This was a failed attempt here. Market respected the level here, and it respected the level there as well. So the market's in consolidation mode. The reducing volumes suggest that supply is getting lower and lower now, and that will allow the market to push higher when trading conditions allow. This is the healthcare sector, which had been breaking down previously. Draw some lines in quickly. That's the highs of the range. This is where the market started breaking down. Buying support came in here. We noted it at the time. It was only slight to begin with, but it built as time went on. Here's where the real accumulation has taken place, across here, and the market's made a serious attempt to break out this week. It's done a pretty good job of it. At this point, it's only a minor breakout. It's not a major breakout. That would come with a breakout above this level up here. It's a minor breakout within the range, but it's a serious attempt to do so all the same. Now, I would expect on this market, there'll be some sort of pullback before there's any attempt to push higher. If it's only a relatively shallow and brief pullback right up high in the range, I expect that'll indicate the market remains strong and will attempt to move higher in response. This is the ASX industrial sector. And it's been doing a pretty good job as well. It drew out supply about a month ago on this bar here. Here's the volume down here. That was selling pressure coming in. It had had a really good run. It had been a great chart to read. We were mapping it from way back down here, and it actually made good sense pretty much all along the way. It had to deal with some weakness in the overall market a few times, which caused it to appear it was going to fail. But as soon as the market found strength again, it gathered itself up and got going again. And this is the first real sign of serious selling pressure we've seen in response to market pulled back, which is what you would expect. Here, volume remained a little above the average. There's been 2 weeks of consolidation bars, and this week price has pushed back up towards the highs of the range up there. Whether it's going to continue to show strength and push higher again, I'm unsure at this point, but it's done everything it needed to do in response to the supply being drawn out. Someone or some group has taken profits there. That doesn't mean it's all over. What the market does in response is pull back, test for supply, absorb any supply that's drawn out, and then attempt to push higher again. And the market's moved right up to the highs of the range. It's in position to do so. Next chart is the ASX consumer staples sector. This is a defensive sector, so when the overall market's moving higher, this market generally shows some weakness, or certainly doesn't show strength. You can see more recently, as the market's been strong, this market's been moving lower. It did push right up towards the highs of the range when the market was acting a little more weakly earlier. It was a modest attempt to recover this week. I'm not sure it'll be successful. Moving back above these breakdown lines is really difficult. It's a difficult challenge for the market, especially when the market's been trending lower. Generally, these attempts fail. So we'll see how it goes. I don't feel strongly the market will recover here. It is possible, but I feel there's more chance the market will continue to move lower. And the next breakdown line is there at the lows of this down bar. This is the consumer discretionary sector. It's a little more optimistic in a positive market scene. You see the buying support that came in along with the rest of the market through there. This market's been finding it difficult at this level for some time. And 3 weeks ago, it pushed above it, tested for supply in the top half of that bar's range. And after another test for supply this week, below the previous bar's close, when the market showed its strength later in the week, this market's pushed up higher as well and closed just above that bar's high. Here's the highs of the range through here, pretty much exactly the same level. So this market's just popped its head above the really important level here. And if the overall market does continue higher, I expect this market will attempt to break out as well. This market hasn't broken out. This market's just popped its head above the line. Could easily fail from there. This is the ASX property sector. Buying support came in at the lows, as it did across most of the market. There's a little bit of a complex area of absorption through there. Here's the highs of the current range, the lows of the current range through there. This market's just been trading sideways more recently. There was an up bar this week with the positivity across the ASX generally. There's the overall highs of the range. So you can see the market's popped right up to those highs. It hasn't moved above it at all. And this will be the resistance level the market needs to push through if it's going to break out. That's this level here. Just back to the parent index quickly. All makes sense now. Here's the highs of the overall range. That's a still secondary high the market built 3 weeks ago. There's been a strong attempt to break out. It does look like a strong attempt. The bar standing tall and proud. Closed up near the bar's high. Volume was increased, but slightly below the average. So that's showing you that selling pressure was low and allowed the market to push higher. It probably also reflects the fact that the market was testing for supply for a lot of the week this week and finding that supply was low, and it really broke out on the Friday, which is slightly unusual, but it did so. I'm expecting it's going to build some FOMO over the weekend, and that FOMO will help to absorb the inevitable supply that's drawn out early next week, Monday and Tuesday in particular. It does look strong. It's not a guaranteed breakout. It does look strong at this point. See how it plays out on Monday. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the weekend. See ya.